So picture this. It's 1930. The British Empire is a global superpower, and it has India firmly under its control. How on earth do you challenge that kind of power? Well, you don't do it with an army or with a typical rebellion. You do it with a pinch of salt. Yeah, really. Let's get into the incredible story of how one of the most common things in your kitchen became this massive symbol of freedom. Those are the exact words of Mahatma Gandhi, spoken on April 6, 1930. He was standing on a beach in a small village called Dandi. And what did he do? He just bent down and picked up a lump of salty mud. That's it. A simple, quiet act that was designed to ignite a nationwide movement. And believe me, it got the whole world's attention. It's a pretty wild question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. The British had armies, they controlled global trade, they governed an entire subcontinent. And Gandhi's weapon of choice was salt. But see, that was the genius of it. To understand why this worked, you have to realize that salt was the perfect symbol. It was something that every single person in India needed, whether you were rich or poor, Hindu or Muslim. It just cut across every single social line.
So you see, the fight was never really about the salt itself. It was about who controlled it. The British had very cleverly turned this absolute necessity of life into a powerful tool of colonial rule, and, you guessed it, a major source of cash. The scale of this thing was just staggering. Under the Salt Act, it was literally illegal for any Indian to produce or sell their own salt. Imagine living right by the sea, surrounded by salt water, but being forced to buy expensive, heavily taxed salt from the British government. And that tax made up more than 8% of the entire British revenue from India. It was a tax that hurt the poorest of the poor the most. And that's the heart of the matter, right there. It's all about this contrast in perspective. To the British, salt was just a commodity. It was a number on a balance sheet. But for Gandhi, and for millions of Indians, it was as essential as air and water. So by taxing it, the British weren't just taxing a product. In a very real way, they were taxing life itself. And that was the universal injustice that Gandhi decided to put in the spotlight. Gandhi's plan was simple and radical. He was going to walk to the sea and make his own salt, a direct act of breaking the law. But when he first pitched this idea, well, let's just say his friends weren't exactly jumping for joy. You know, even his closest allies were just baffled. The top leaders in the Indian National Congress thought it sounded kind of silly, impractical. They suggested going after something more serious, like land taxes, which made sense, right? A land tax boycott was a traditional kind of protest. Meanwhile, a major newspaper literally wrote that it was difficult not to laugh at the whole idea. And that pretty much sums up the British view. The Viceroy, Lord Irwin, the most powerful man in India, completely brushed it off. To the entire British establishment, a protest about salt just seemed trivial, almost like a joke. They had absolutely no idea what was about to hit them. But see, Gandhi was playing a completely different game. His entire strategy was built on this powerful idea of satyagraha, which you can translate as truth force. Now, this wasn't just sitting back and taking it. No, this was an active, disciplined, and totally nonviolent confrontation. The goal wasn't to win by fighting, but to win the moral argument by exposing the ugly truth of an unjust law. And just like that, the stage was set for one of the most famous protests in modern history. What started out as this small, disciplined group of followers would eventually become a torrent of humanity, what observers at the time called a white flowing river of people. So here's a quick look at how it all played out. The march kicked off on March 12th from Gandhi's community, his ashram. It took them 24 days to get to the coastal village of Dandi. The big moment was on April 6th, but things were far from over. Gandhi himself was arrested about a month later. Okay, the numbers here are just mind-blowing. We're talking about a 240-mile journey, all on foot, over 24 days. Gandhi started with just 78 of his most trusted, highly disciplined volunteers. But as they walked from village to village, more and more people just left their homes and joined in, until the line of marchers stretched for nearly 3 kilometers. And here's the kicker. The whole world was watching. Journalists from all over Europe and America were there, filing stories every single day. News cameras were rolling, and Gandhi, the man the Viceroy had literally laughed at, was suddenly a global celebrity. His simple walk to the sea made him Time magazine's Man of the Year. So when Gandhi finally reached the ocean at Dandi, that one symbolic act of defiance lit a fuse. It sparked a fire of civil disobedience all across India, and the empire, which had started out laughing, was now scrambling to react.
This was the moment it all came together. By boiling that salty mud to make illegal salt, Gandhi sent a message to everyone. This law is unjust, and it is our right to defy it. And millions of Indians answered the call. All up and down the coast, people started making and selling their own salt, openly, publicly breaking British law. The British response was exactly what you'd expect. It was swift, and it was massive. They just started arresting people by the thousands. By the end of the month, more than 60,000 Indians, including Gandhi himself, were locked up in jail. Their crime? Making or buying a pinch of salt.
The brutality really hit its peak at a place called the Dharasana Salt Works. After Gandhi was arrested, protesters marched on this government facility, planning to non-violently occupy it. The police met them with steel-tipped clubs. This quote is from an American journalist, Webb Miller, and his story was published in over 1,000 newspapers around the world. It showed everyone the violent reality behind the polite face of the British Empire, and through it all, the protesters never, not once, raised a hand to defend themselves.
Now, the Salt March didn't win India's independence overnight. It just didn't work like that. But in those 24 days, and in the brutal months that came after, something deep and fundamental shifted. The foundations of the empire really were, as Gandhi had promised, shaken. So what did it all actually achieve? Well, the long-term results were completely transformative. Politically, the British were forced to come to the negotiating table. The same viceroy, Lord Irwin, who had dismissed the march, now had to meet with Gandhi as an equal. Nationally, it cemented the Indian National Congress as the legitimate voice of the Indian people. And globally, its legacy is just huge, directly inspiring leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. decades later in his own struggle.
But maybe the biggest impact of all wasn't political, but psychological. As India's future Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru put it, the Salt March changed the Indian people themselves. It basically replaced a deep-seated fear with courage and gave an entire nation a new sense of dignity and power. They had peacefully stood up to the world's greatest empire, and nothing was ever going to be the same again.
The story of the Salt March is incredible proof that a simple, universal symbol can be used to take on immense power. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the salt of our time? What's that seemingly small, everyday injustice that's just waiting for someone to challenge it and maybe shake the foundations of our world today?